There, Bruce Millington, Mark Langdon, Dan Childs, and from Paddy Power, Amanda Nicholman. We are looking ahead to 3 live Premier League games on Sunday. Yes, it's one of those absolute orgies of top-notch football that is bound to cause all sorts of domestic strife, but who cares? And we've also got a Monday night game as well. So, great stuff for the football fan. And we'll get stuck into the first of those. It's Huddersfield versus Bournemouth. Takes place at 12 o'clock at whatever... What's it now? It's not the McAlpine, is it? The Gal Farm? It's been called all
John
sorts.
Smith's stadium,
John
I think,
Smith's, is it?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
gone back to that. Righto, Amanda, before the boys give us their verdict, perhaps you could set the scene with a show of betting. Huddersfield versus Bournemouth.
Huddersfield are 9-4, the draw at 21-10, and Bournemouth 13-10.
13-10 Bournemouth, Mark. That does it for me. Does it do it for you?
It does do it for me, yeah. Beating Chelsea and Arsenal recently. Eddie Howe, one of them managers that believes in sort of the process more than... he doesn't get too carried away with these little streaky wins and defeat sequences that they had earlier on in the campaign. He's one that believes if you just do the right things every week, eventually you'll get what you deserve. And Bournemouth are now getting what they deserve. They're a good team. They're a well-coached team. I think they're they're outside of the obvious sort of big six. They're one of the better sides in the Premier League. Huddersfield have won 2 of their last 15 matches, 10 defeats. That's in the Premier League, sorry. 10 defeats. Some of the not all of their players, but they were in an FA Cup tie in midweek as well, which maybe doesn't help with the planning. Bournemouth to win. Yeah.
Dan?
Yeah, I'm all over Bournemouth here. I mean, 7 undefeated now in the Premier League, including those wins over Arsenal and Chelsea. Huddersfield lost their last 5 in the Premier League. Each of those was by 2 goals or more as well, so they're not even getting close to getting results at the moment. And that game in the week as well, they did play a few more of their first team players than normal for that game because I think it's because the carrot of Man United as well in the next round. So and it did go to extra time, so it's quite a bit into the legs of the players there. I just think Bournemouth, I agree with Mark, they look a very good side. Might even get into the Europa League. I mean, if it goes down to 7th, which is highly possible again, they're only 5 points off
that puts
Burnley.
me off a little bit. Anyhow, what he thinks cup competition.
Okay, 2 strong votes. Well, 3, because for what it's worth, I really fancy Bournemouth as well. What do you fancy, Amanda?
Yeah, we'll make that 4, Bruce. Huddersfield had 0 shots on target last week, and they are seriously struggling, as mentioned there, of course, having to take it to extra time to beat Birmingham midweek. They were never expected to get anything out of Liverpool and Man United, though, in the last 2 fixtures, but they've only kept 1 clean sheet in their last 10 games. Bournemouth, on the other hand, unbeaten in their last 7 matches, and they've had a really good few weeks of results. Chelsea 3-0 at the Bridge and comeback victory over Stoke last week. They are the informed team, and I'll be siding with them. 13-10 is good, but I'm actually looking at this one here. They scored 53% of their goals after the 60th minute. So I'm going to actually say draw half-time, Bournemouth full-time, which is now 9-2.
Oh, getting very flash. Okay. And if anyone from the spread firms is listening, can you please pitch the passes nice and low, because I'm planning to buy them. There could be over 1,000. The second of the TV trilogy takes place at 2:15 at St James's Park. It's Newcastle versus Amanda's beloved Man United. How do Paddy Power bet here?
We've Newcastle priced up at 9-2, the draw 11-4, and the Reds are 8-13.
The Reds are 8-13. Right, Amanda, we'll stick with you. What will happen here?
Yeah, Newcastle, they've scored 5 goals in their last 5 games, 1 in each. They're only 1 point out of the drop zone now, and they're in big trouble. They were decent, though, in their first half against Palace. You were there, Bruce.
Yeah, they were.
They were attacking. They had 8 shots on target throughout the match. So I think they are slightly improving. But in regards to Man United, we saw a few players left out of the squad that faced Spurs. I don't think it did much harm. One man who wasn't left out, though, was Sanchez, of course. I thought he showed passion and pace on his home debut last week. He's a great work ethic, and he had a tough game. He had lumps taken out of him, 7 fouls. I think it was the total. But yeah, it was a routine 3 points for them. A boring win, I suppose, if you want to call it that. So there was no surprises that they were back to winning ways.
God, this is a slow burner, Amanda. Who'd you fancy?
I'm going to side with Man United half-time, full-time.
OK, well done. We got there. Mark?
I was looking maybe under 2.5 goals in this game. It was just Newcastle against the bigger teams. Everybody saw what happened. He did against Man City, I think, when there was no show. But even the Liverpool was 1-1. The Tottenham was 2-0, and that was 0-0 until Shelvey got red carded. So I think it'll be a similar type game. What you were speaking earlier on about United, maybe not having the same panache as some of the other big teams at the moment. But I think eventually they will find a way through. Two more cagey managers, I think it's fair to say, in Benitez and Mourinho. It could be one of, and they don't get on particularly well from their time together, Liverpool-Chelsea. I think it could be a Liverpool-Chelsea type game. You remember when they used to really... it used to be a real war of attrition when those two used to play. United probably just edge it, but under 2.5 goals.
Under 2.5. Amanda's absolutely right. Newcastle were decent in the first half, but they were also pretty poor second half.
Yeah,
I thought I'm very lucky to hang on there.
Yeah, I thought Palace probably edged the game overall, but they did, defend with quite a bit of spirit and organisation, as Benitez teams often do. They are becoming hard to beat. 2 defeats in 8 Premier League games, both against Man City. So that's pretty decent for a side that have had so little investment, as has been mentioned. He has got them well organised. As Mark's mentioned, they have caused problems, especially at home, to some of the bigger teams. And even I watched their cup game against Chelsea. Although it was 3-0, they were much more competitive in that game than the score suggested. I just think Slimani could come in up front. That'll give them a little bit extra as well, because that's been a real soft point for them. Playing Gale and Hosselu, neither are really up to it. So Man United, I don't know. I just think they do lack the way they play under Mourinho. They don't play that free-flowing football. Took 55 minutes to score against a poor Huddersfield team last time out. I think Newcastle might frustrate them, and 11-4 the draw, I don't think it's a bad price.
Righty-ho, excellent. Now, 4:30, I'm mindful of the fact we haven't done They Played for both clubs yet, and we're not going to do it for Southampton versus Liverpool, because we've all got better things to do than spend all day recounting about 38 names. So it's Southampton v Liverpool. I guess, Amanda, Bournemouth favourites to beat Huddersfield, Man U favourites to beat Newcastle. A lot of people will be interested, and there'll be a lot of money rolling on if the first 2 away teams win on this away treble. So Liverpool versus Southampton, if the first 2 away teams win, I could imagine Liverpool coming under massive pressure. What price are they now, though?
The price is up at 8-11. I'll get the price at treble for you shortly as well.
Oh, cool.
Liverpool are 8-11. The draw is 11-4, and Southampton are 100-30.
Rightio, get us that away trouble. In the meantime, Mark's going to give us his big match verdict.
Yeah, I mean, I nearly always side with Liverpool. I still think they're the second best team in the Premier League, but I'm going to go for the draw on this occasion. I think Southampton, and we've been quite negative about them on the Postcast, and rightly so, because they don't win enough matches. But actually, in some of the big games, they've done okay. I think probably suits them not having to force the issue. They got the win last week against West Brom as well, so I can see them playing for a point, and maybe they can frustrate Liverpool. They've drawn at home to Tottenham and Arsenal. They got the 0-0 at Old Trafford. They only lost to Man City with the last kick of the game. I do like Liverpool, and if you do fancy Liverpool to win, it is worth backing them, Liverpool to win and over 2.5 goals, because that has copped in 19 of their 20 victories. They're not a team that does it simply. If they win, it's in a high-scoring game. I'm not sure this is going to be a high-scoring game, though. So the draw, a tentative vote for the draw.
That was a great stat, Mark. I tell you, you can listen to all these people and all these various ex-pros giving you what happened in the last game and why this is going to happen and that's going to happen. But the guys like Dan and Mark, they just sit there, they analyse, they use the stats, they use their knowledge, and they come up with fantastic verdicts like that. Well done. Dan, what do you think is going to happen down at the Dell?
I've got similar thoughts. I'd go a little bit further, and I'll be laying Liverpool here, actually. I've been a bit down on Southampton this season as well, but there's a few factors. I mean, the last game they played, I talked about the last game. Last game they played well, Bruce. They won, deservedly won at West Brom. Played well against Spurs, well, the game I saw on the telly, a decent performance, well worth the draw there. Not that long ago, got the 0-0 draw at Manchester United, so good performances against good teams. The crowd as well, I don't know, put too much stock in the crowd being up for it, but they will be. It's the first time they played Liverpool since Virgil van Dijk was sold. There's a lot of history there between the clubs. I think a lot of games this season, the Southampton crowd have been quite down about the manager, down about the team. I think they'll be really up for this, and it could contribute to a better performance from Southampton. And Liverpool had a little bit of a wobble lately. 1 win in 4, that was against Huddersfield, so they're not playing great. 1 clean sheet in 8 games. I just think I wouldn't be backing Liverpool. Odds on, I'd say Southampton or draw, double chance at evens.
Blimey, the boys are very negative about Liverpool. How about you, Amanda?
Yeah, I'd be actually siding with Liverpool and both to score here. I think Southampton looked decent at times, as mentioned there, against West Brom at the weekend. Their new striker, Carrillo, looked like he had a bit of flair. But I also thought that Liverpool looked much better defensively in the first half anyway against Spurs at the weekend. In saying that, though, Southampton have scored in all their home matches since early November. So I will be siding with a Liverpool win, but both teams to score, and that's 23-10.
23-10, yeah, that sounds decent. Excellent. Right, we've got a Monday night game. It's beleaguered Chelsea against equally beleaguered West Brom, who are bottom of the table and desperate for points. Kicks off at 8 o'clock at the Bridge. And for all their recent troubles, Amanda, I'm sure Chelsea are pretty strong fads here, aren't they?
Yeah, they certainly are. They're 3-10. The draw 4-1, and West Brom are 9s.
So, Mark, 3-10 Chelsea.
Yeah,
I mean,
you can't back that.
Can you?
You can't back that. I mean, even if they do win, then so what?
If you've got the 10, you don't need the 3.
Yeah, and also if you do need the 3, I think there's safer places to put your 10. So I wouldn't be backing. I definitely wouldn't be backing Chelsea. You know, I'm going to take a chance on West Brom here, just in case there are big issues at Chelsea. And look, if you've lost 3-0 to Bournemouth and then get tonked at Watford with 10 men and the goals came late, but it still doesn't look right to me. And West Brom have already won at Anfield this season. I think Pardew has got a positivity about him that can just occasionally sort of up. He quite fancies himself in these big games, I think it's fair to say.
I think you could have ended that sentence after the word himself.
He does. And West Brom are in a situation now where they almost start to need to win games because they are beginning to get a bit tailed off. If Chelsea win, then so be it. The reason I don't want to go double chance or handicap is because if Chelsea are at their best, then they'll probably win and win easily enough. But if they're not, and the crowd are negative, and Conte's negative, Sturridge.
They've got a bit of firepower now as well. I mean, Rodriguez was brilliant against Liverpool, wasn't he?
I don't know why he didn't play against Southampton. Made no sense. But if you've got Sturridge, Rodriguez and Rondon up front, you've got a chance in this game. And West Brom were missing quite a few important players against Southampton, like Johnny Evans. They've got a bit, because it's a Monday, they've got more chance of getting them back. And they played well at Anfield. Why can't they play well at Stamford Bridge?
So a friendly fiver on the throttles, maybe.
Yeah, I'd rather be on the outsiders in a situation like this.
How about you, Daniel?
Yeah, I'd echo a lot of that. I would go on the double chance just so you got the draw on side. You're still getting a decent enough price, 23-10 West Brom or the draw. A couple of the players they had out last time contributed to a disjointed performance. They've got Kieran Gibbs is expected to be back. Krychowiak, who's been a really important midfield player for them, very important in the way they play. He's going to be back as well. So there's some positives there. Pedro went off injured for Chelsea against Watford, so takes another option away from offensively, and they're just morale-wise at the moment. Like I said before, even before they went down to 10 men, they looked a poor side against Watford. West Brom are just as, although they're at the bottom of the table, their performances haven't been that bad since Pardew's come in. Put some good performances in. The loss at City was their first away defeat in 4, so they've been showing some resilience on the road. And
that came on the back of some hard games.
Yes,
they tossed it off there, didn't they?
He even rested a few in that game to prepare for the Southampton game. It was
sandwiched, wasn't it?
Before the Southampton game. So I think they'll be, personnel-wise, they'll have a lot better prepared for this game, and I think they'll give it a go, and every chance they'll take some points.
And how much would you two, as Tottenham fans, piss yourselves if they did get beat?
Well, you know what, the thing is, with the situation with Conte, you maybe want him to stay, and he could end up, if there are issues within that club. So, I mean, Chelsea have done very well when they've sacked their managers.
But they won't keep him. They can't, can they? I mean, it's virtually impossible, isn't it?
Well, I mean,
you're flying against 10 years of form.
The journalists that are pretty close to Chelsea, and there's been a lot of leaks coming out of there, seem to suggest that he is going to stay. So that surprised me, but I found it quite interesting.
Blimey. What do you think will happen here, Amanda?
Yeah, I wouldn't be touching Chelsea either, even at home. So I'm actually going to go for a goal angle here. Over 2.5 goals in the match. Chelsea's last 5 matches in all competitions have finished that way, and West Brom's last 3. So that's what I'll be siding. That's priced about 8-11.
Jolly good. And before we go, Amanda, can you just give us a show on the FA Cup if you've got that to hand?
Yeah, sure. the FA Cup betting with Man City 2-1, Man United 100-30, Chelsea 7-2, 9-2 Tottenham, Leicester 11s, Southampton 25s, 33s bar.
Cool, you tipped Leicester at bigger price. Who was it? Both of you,
Yeah,
wasn't
we
it?
did. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, still a lot of the big teams look like they're going to get to the quarterfinals, but they're in with a chance.
Excellent. Weekend plans, Mark? Which game are you going to?
No, I'm just working on Saturday because we've got to get our Champions League sort of special ready for Tuesday's.
Oh, that's in Tuesday's paper, isn't it?
Yeah,
So you're grafting away with that. So don't miss next Tuesday's Racing Post because we've got all the gen on that. And it's going to be brilliant, isn't it? This last 16 draw is fantastic, isn't it?
This is the proper competition now.
What about you, Dan? Off to the London Stadium?
No. I'll be watching Spurs and Arsenal on the box after taking my son to his Saturday morning football training. So, yeah.
Lovely stuff. And Amanda, what's the weekend hold for you?
Going on a bit of a hike on Saturday and then football day for me on the couch on Sunday.
Oh, lovely. Where are you walking?
I've got up to Carlingford with a friend. Carlingford, it's up at the north.
Oh, lovely. Excellent. Nice one.
Yeah.
Have you ever, if you go to Dublin, to the south of the cities, there's kind of mountain range there, isn't there? Is that? I've always quite fancied getting out into the hills of Ireland. I've never really done rural Ireland. There's plenty of good places to walk.
I'm actually from there myself.
Oh,
just from this place called Tala. It's beautiful.
Oh, lovely. Excellent. Brilliant. Thank you very much, Amanda. Great stuff as always. Hope we will see you back on the Postcast very soon. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Dan. Thank you for listening. Don't forget, if you do like the Postcasts, make sure you rate, review and subscribe on iTunes.
Follow Paddy Power on Snapchat. The username is ThePaddyPower, and we promise there won't be any boring snaps about gigs, the weather or the gym.